All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. As my first day as chairperson, I'd like to call to order, say good morning to everyone. Welcome to the Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board special meeting this Thursday, October 6th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. And we all kindly silence our cell phones at this time. Ms. Thompson, can you please call the roll?
Member Matthewman.
Here.
Member Eastwood Egan. Member Chapelier. Member Brenner. Member Davison.
Present.
Member Nestle. And Chairperson Stansfield.
Present. Okay, can we all rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda that was shared with us? It's a draft? Or is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept. Second.
All in favor, say yes. Any opposed, say no.
Yes.
Okay. Public comments is now open. Are there any public comments from outside? Okay. Ms. Thompson, are there any pre-registered public comments?
There are no pre-registered public comments.
Presentations for today, I have documented as none. Then we'll move on to number 7, approval of minutes from our August 10th, 2022 meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes of August 10th, 2022? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor, say yes. Yes. Any opposed, say no. Okay, so our unfinished business, which was the discussion of the Dune outreach management campaign. Barbara Nessel, we refer this item to you.
Thank you so much. So basically, I thought of a meeting I could prepare an action plan, but it actually needs some decisions, but we won't be able to meet until November. And personally, I think this is a very important item on the general natural resource list. So the first document that I prepared, which is on page 12, just outlines the suggested topics that we should, or what I suggest we could cover today. The first is a draft of an action plan so that we basically go all through all points, what we want to address. The second is a draft example of an outreach letter to all the beachfront residents on the A1A. I basically just drafted the letter, so it makes our job easier today to literally correct it and get it done so that it can actually be sent out, and ideally before the October 27th food truck event. So these people can actually attend if they like to. The third point would be a draft outreach one-pager for all Highland Beach residents. So this is something we could use at the events. We could have it as a leaflet in the library. We could use it at the food truck event. We can also attach it to the letter, which is item number 2. Then item number 4 on this is the draft list of resources to add to the Highland Beach website. This is just things that I found could be very helpful or very neutral to the topic because there's so much information out there. So that's just a not finished kind of draft list. Item number 5 is a draft detailed plan for the food truck event. So basically here I literally made like a checklist from the table we need to the balloons, to the kids things, to the whatever. So literally just what is it what we want to do? What is it what we want to achieve? And who does what? Because we only have like 2.5 weeks left for that. Because of Hurricane Ian, we're a little bit delayed. The last item would be the Dune restoration contractors discussion. This is really an item I like to leave open because obviously as a town, we cannot make recommendations, but we might want to have a list of say 20 contractors that are out there to help that we have maybe not vetted officially, but we heard that they have worked for the city before. And there are reputable contractors for dune restorations. So that's kind of the suggested topics. Does everybody agree with this list? Would you like to make amendments before I go into actually the precise drafts that I made?
I think what you did is great. My one question though is, are homeowners allowed to remove anything without going through DEP or getting a permit? And
They have to go through DEP.
because I did try and get some information and didn't get very far, but I know that they are willing to come and help us because I think you need to have permits.
Yes.
And so you can't just tell people, let's remove the invasive stuff and put in the new
No.
stuff. Okay.
No, you need a field permit, and that's actually on one of the drafts. You will see it's
Okay,
one of the points that actually you need a field permit.
I just want to say thank you so much, Member Nessel, because I had even presented Ms. Thompson with just an outline to keep the discussion on topic and focused for the sake of getting things done. And this is beautiful. This is even exactly what I had in mind. So I appreciate the
Perfect.
time and
Thank you so
effort you put
much.
into this so much. So again, that the time here is productive. And that, again, we understand what the purpose of the event was. Participants will understand. If they walk away, participants will be able to utilize the information in what way, what resources do we have, and what is our agreed upon who, what, where, when, why, and what roles we're taking on. So thank you for your organization prior. So with that, are we good to move forward with the guidance, or is there any other comments that would like to be made? This point is what Ms. Nessel presented us with for making this a.
Yeah, just a quick question, and thank you. This is fantastic. I agree. I'll look for direction from maybe Ingrid. How would we determine if any of a budget for spending, like on making paper copies for the event, balloons,
Yeah,
rental, tenting, all that stuff?
well, I think as far as the table, and I think it's going to be a tent, I mean, that'll be taken care of by the town. But I know in Ms. Nessel's draft here, she did reference maybe whether it's pencils or little sea turtle things, giveaways. That's fine. I did discuss it with the town manager, as long as we don't get too carried away with the budget. These things are very inexpensive. I think that will be fine. So it's just really what the board would like to see. If I may just interject, you did have some additional handouts, just very quick, if I can address those. I did provide a printout of the guidelines for beach and dune management that I got off the Palm Beach County website. I had emailed the board this particular handout, or I should say collateral material, whatever you want to reference it, a little bit after the last meeting in August. And then since then, I've also found some additional information. This may be very helpful for the food truck event. So I've provided you a sea grape trimming and sea turtle handout. Again, these other additional handouts are all from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. It talks about how you can trim sea grapes without affecting the sea turtles. It's, I think, a helpful handout. There's also a handout that's titled Recommended Florida Native Beach and Dune Plants for Beachfront Properties and Dune Restoration. And there's also a coastal construction control line dune plant maintenance guideline. And lastly, a coastal construction control line dune planting recommendations. Again, these are things that you may want to consider having for the food truck event. I also I printed them out in 11 by 17. Sometimes having a larger copy on the table is helpful. Again, this is up to the board, but just wanted you to know and put in the record these handouts that I provided you.
Thank you. I just wanted to continue in that vein that I reached out. Thank you for reaching out initially, though, to Andy in the Palm Beach office, Andy Stute, who provided this. And he is having 200 copies made for us so that I can obtain them from him when they're ready so that we can have them. And he knows the food truck event would be the first. And if we do the larger session that we spoke about at the library, and he even said he would be willing to be present as a speaker if it was necessary at that event. His title specifically was, I'm trying to pull it up on my phone. He is in charge of resource management from Palm Beach County. So he, again, was going to provide us with 200 color copies of this that he sent to the printer. But a question I do have, Ms. Allen, if we did want the additional resources that you provided for us today, who would cover the printing cost?
Town will cover the printing costs. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know, because we're protecting the environment here about printing. Do we actually really want to print a lot, or shall we just have like a list of web resources so people can look it up on the web rather than sitting on a pile of paper when people are leaving? Just some food for.
If I could just add to that, I mean, the link for this particular, some of these are pretty lengthy links, so it's hard for somebody to hand it to them. I totally get where you're coming from to type in all those letters. But what you can do is we could put these links on the town webpage, right, on your particular site, and you could advise, the residents there.
Yeah.
You can have maybe one paper that, shows the natural resources preservation webpage, and that those links will be provided there.
I think maybe we print up a very small amount. And because we don't want to be stuck with a ton of extra paper. I totally agree with you. All this paper is not what we stand for.
And I think you could utilize sites such as tinyURL or Bitly to convert those long links into digestible pieces and put it on a small piece of paper, that they can walk away with. It's very easy to do.
What if we incorporated like a QR code into one of our, you can put those on turtles, or whatever what our giveaway is, or.
I have an
handouts.
idea. What if we did a little magnet, like a turtle magnet that had a link on it? Maybe we don't have time for that though.
That's the issue, because we have 2 weeks, and if I order these things, I'll get them, but nothing that's.
Nothing
that's-
custom. Okay.
Yeah,
But I think to address Ms. Allen's idea, like that the links are so long, whether it's a QR code somebody could scan at the table, or in addition to utilizing Bitly or tinyURL.
Yeah.
We can create them and then put them on a handout that they could walk away with something smaller than an index card. But again, we know some people want things in hand, so I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay.
Okay, but again, I want to, before we start going all over the place, I want to look at the outline that you presented, Ms. Nessel, because we have some resources we addressed, but I would love to stay in tangent with like the action plan that you had before bumping all over the place. So
yeah, thank you so much. So coming back to the action plan, which is on page 13, most of the items I've already mentioned. So number 1, organize the food truck event, which we're going to talk about as next agenda items. Then we should talk about the draft outreach letter, and ideally today we actually finalize it so it can be printed and sent out. Number 3, the draft outreach 1-pager. Also, I think this would be an excellent source. It's just 1 page to print, and it literally has the key information. Then number 4 would be an outreach event, library or something, in addition to the October 27 event. Number 5 is the list of resources we already mentioned. 6 is contractors, we already mentioned. 7, that's a new idea, is on researching other towns' regulations on dune restoration. Say, what does Miami do? What does Fort Lauderdale do? What do other small towns that are amazing towns like Gulfstream or Palm Beach do? This is something, for example, I could do with my legal background on what are the regulations, what do they do? So we have a baseline for discussion for our town. And then the last thing is just a Coastline Resilience Partnership and Climate Change Mitigation Report, which is an excellent document. This is more like a background, I think, information for all of us to get our knowledge up to speed, especially the Appendix 4 is very specific to Highland Beach. I think a lot of it is beyond the scope of this commission, but it's a good background reading, just as an information. If everybody agrees with that action plan, we could move to the draft letter, but I don't know if anybody has items to add or delete or amend.
Do the members present feel good about utilizing the action plan as put together by member Nessel to move forward to organize our discussion today? Good. All right, so then I have my trust in your hands as to guide us, and we will support you in any way, but
Thank you
for the
so
food
much.
truck event, and I'm going to be taking notes here in my OneNote as well. I know Ms. Thompson will also do so, but I will take notes and whatever we needed in my OneNote.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. So attachment 2 is actually literally a super rough, raw draft for discussion. It's an example outreach letter that I drafted. It's very short. Residents are busy. They get a lot of mail. So the idea is really having just 2 paragraphs, whetting their appetite and inviting them to the event or having them interested in the subject. I don't know, do you want to read the letter or how do you want to do this in terms of drafting this letter?
I would turn. Ms. Allen, is it recommended since this is public that but are these documents available to the public or do we just need to read it on our own? Or is it beneficial to read it out loud at this point in time?
The draft letter?
Yeah, attachment 2.
Well, it's on the agenda, so I don't know
So-
that you have to read it into the record per se, right?
Okay.
And it's on the town
I think
website.
If everybody just wants to take a moment to read it on their own. Yeah, just take about a minute or 2. We'll know when we're ready. We'll look up at each other and we can discuss.
I would add, just if I could put my 2 cents. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Apologies. Can we all read first and we'll know we're ready when everybody's looking up? I'll get us together so that we can focus and process at our own speed and then provide feedback. This time, if everybody is ready to share their feedback, or Ms. Ellen, your
Yeah, I was just gonna
comment
say,
that you had?
the issue with the FDP permit, I think maybe you want to put a little note in there that, before you add to the dune, any type of dune vegetation or remove any vegetation from the dune, you have to reach out to FDEP, right? We don't want people to think they could just start pulling stuff out. So I think that's important. And I will just say, given the date, you want this letter, I see you reference the October 27th meeting. I don't know that we'll have enough time because we got to stuff envelopes. So I don't know that we'll have enough staff time to do that. So I don't know. Maybe you want to take out the reference to October 27th. I would still have to run the letter through our town manager. And unless we do some sort of postcard, but again, we use an outside agency. I don't know if we have enough turnaround time for them to do that. If we do it, typically when we do public notices, we have our town clerk staff stuff an envelope and that takes time. So just something to be mindful of.
I think also I should be added in here. I think that there are a lot of grants. There's money out there that these homeowners are entitled to. Am I correct?
Well, grants, if the town went for a grant, it's typically, for a public type of area, whether it's a park or a beach. However, we'll see. I did discuss this with the town manager. Given that the town is part of that coastal resiliency partnership, given that the partnership has prepared a final report on the coastal the coastal vulnerability assessment. There are some general references to dune protection. That may be a document that we use to justify a grant. So we're in a nice position there. Yeah, I think, I know to get a grant for private properties,
Yeah.
it's so interesting.
But I think the
scenario, to
homeowners
say
would
the
be
least.
more prone to wanting to do something to their property if they knew they were getting a little bit of.
Right, and the town may consider putting some money towards that. As I said, I'll discuss it further
Okay.
with the town manager.
I like the idea of making them feel that there's something in resources, so it's not just on them, but I would like us to consider the fact that that doesn't all need to be in this letter. The letter is a first attempt at awareness and that there is something, and then an event such as we've discussed, like not even the food truck event, but the event that we discussed maybe for January or February at the library, if available. That would be a place where that level of information and resources could come into play, and that we have plenty of time then to get additional information out to individuals on the website, maybe even managers' minutes as to what would be available during that time. So I don't, say it's not a good idea, but I think it's a little much all at front, where right now I would, if anybody else agrees, this is to capture their attention as an awareness piece. I mean, if we can't address the food truck event, that's fine, but it's just step one of creating awareness.
I agree, and also given the value of these properties, I think, and the cost of the Dune restoration, I don't think his people are really keen on, I mean, maybe some are more willing to do something if there is a grant, which is probably unlikely, but it's just a sheer argument of protecting their value. I think will hopefully is their interest.
Well, you would think they would want to protect their property. Some of them are in very bad shape.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
So again, that is the point.
Yeah.
Again, and starting the first step is creating awareness amongst the individuals, the residents. Any other thoughts, comments at this time as it pertains to the letter and feasibility of the letter of getting this out? If we removed the October 27th food truck event and add the FDEP permit requirement, is there anything else at this point? Yes, Ms.
I would also add some sort of reference to the Natural Resources website, that you could find a wealth of resources on dune management on the site. You know, please feel free to check it out, or, you know, something to that effect.
Just thinking loud here, now that we can't refer to the October 27 event, shall we maybe wait with this letter until we know when we have the proper event in January and February and send it out then and invite them then?
With the speaker.
I would not, I mean, we're getting the snowbirds, you can see, are already starting to come in,
Yes, I saw the
so
trucks yesterday.
I wouldn't wait till after the season, you know, they're starting to come in, they're gonna see the letter, they can maybe start acting upon it, you know, quicker than next year.
Yeah, I would definitely send out the letter sooner than later, but I think it would be great to actually refer to, say, January 17 event in the library with speakers. So then,
At this-
or
apologies, go ahead.
no, what do you think?
At this point in time, we don't have an identified date for January and February, even though it was addressed in the minutes that I was going to contact the library director, which I did, but then I was pulled back in that I wasn't allowed to do so. Every day, Nikki's learning. I wasn't allowed to do so until so again, without jumping all over the place, and we'll get to that point, but Ms. Allen, Ms. Thompson, get us back on course as to the process for how to make that happen. But one other comment as it pertains to an actual letter. I'm just curious, should it be the letter solely, or could it be the letter and the manager's minutes? Could it be the how often are the manager's minutes printed or
I
and
believe
distributed?
now during the season, it's every month. Is that correct? Yeah. During the season, it's monthly, then off season, it's not. monthly.
Okay,
I think it's
so
every month.
as for the month of October, I'm sure at this point in time, everything that was going to be in there is already
Yes.
identified, and that door has shut.
Mhm.
So for November, if we sent a letter, but it could also be repeated, November, December. Do we see value in doing both letter and manager's minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one single letter to be distributed in October. Okay, so one single letter to be distributed October, and from that point on, utilize the already existing communication for the town.
If I can just add, Ms. Quebish just gave me a very good idea. She just indicated that this letter can be emailed. So then maybe you can go ahead and reference that October 27th meeting. So that's just something she offered right now.
I think that's a good idea, because I think the more notice we give, the better, because some people are going to get this in their mailbox and it's going to go right into the recycling bin, hopefully.
If nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Just
thoughts.
to clarify on who's receiving this, is it condos and single family owners on the beach, or is it just residents that we see need erosion protection?
That's an excellent question, actually, and I forgot to mention that. I think it's residents in single family homes and for the condos, some of them are huge. I would address it straight to the manager of the building manager, not to all the residents. I think that's an overkill, and I don't know what you think.
Do any of the huge condominiums even have dunes, or do they just have like a seawall? Because the one next to me does not have a dune. It's just a
45
wall.
Ocean you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah, that's horrible. The
Yes.
orange buildings,
Yeah,
they have a wall. That's terrible.
so they would not be doing anything,
And they can't.
right?
Yeah.
So they don't need to get a letter.
Does it hurt
To create.
to send it to everyone?
No.
Well, what I've noticed in 45 Ocean, this is beyond this topic, but very quickly, that actually the dunes are growing and they're pulling it out. I saw they have landscapers pulling it out and cleaning it up, which I found crazy. So I don't know whether that could be a wake-up call for them to maybe not do that at least.
Okay. So with regards to the initial inquiry as to do other condo associations, when you walk north from where I enter right here, yes, they do. They do have dunes. Yes, they have to walk through and down, and we have a very diverse mangroves as we walk through our easement and some dune, but yes, there are. So
And they should all get it.
I think it would
And,
be,
you know, the more people, if you have a condo with 200 residents knocking on the manager's door saying, hey, we should do something about this, it's a little more, hey, we should actually do something about this.
That's a great point, yeah. So we send it to all the residents then.
Everyone who's
lot of
living on the
letters,
ocean, on that side of A1A.
Is that something that the town has record of?
Yeah, we can get those addresses east of A1A.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Okay, I'll discuss it
and
with the town
the
manager.
cost for postage and printing everything could be covered in support of the work we're doing.
Yeah, I had previously discussed this request from your last meeting with the
Mhm.
town manager, and he was fine with doing the letter. So he knows all that comes
Okay.
with that. Yeah.
Okay, and
Do
then
you
the
know, sorry.
the idea of having it emailed, all right, because we had two things to discuss. So there is the paper, you know, when we keep going back to the environmental concerns of this board and the idea that it can be emailed versus physical sense, both.
That brings me to the question, how is it being mailed? Is it being mailed in an official envelope with the Highland Beach stamp or the logo, or is it just like to the residents of which in my case goes straight into the recycling?
Maybe, Janelle, I don't know if you know, when you guys stuff those envelopes, if we go with a 8.5 by 11, we go with a postcard, typically it has like the town logo on it.
So if we do the letters from the clerk's office, typically any letters that we send out has the Highland Beach logo in the corner along with the town of Highland Beach and the address. And also it will have, we typically put public notice on there, so they're aware that they're getting a public notice. I don't know if anyone here has ever received a notice letting you know that there's a meeting coming up from like the code or the planning board. You'll receive, so it's like that. You'll receive that notice. It'll have public notice on there and they'll know that it's not, you know, a personal letter to them, you know, for any issue that they're having, but more so a letter from the town letting them
It is
know.
official.
Right.
But it looks official.
It looks
Yeah,
official.
that's
course.
great. I think that's great.
I would open that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so again, back to the idea of where, sounds like I have a hunch, tell me where I'm wrong. We're leaning towards, yes, a physical letter. But the idea of emailing as well, yes or no? And that's something, again, the town has email address for possibly not everybody, but they have email addresses for individuals that they could do a listserv or something.
Yes, I believe the town has just a group of people who have advised of their email, that they want to be on a news blast list. We do have a list of residents who've provided their email, so that's typically, I believe, what we use.
Or
for
is it
these types of-
similar to when you get on the website and it says, you know, log on here for updates, or is that different? You know, this,
I could check with Teresa Cuevas, as I said, she manages the webpage, so I
Mhm.
can get a little bit more input from her. Yeah, I'm not sure how that whole thing works in detail, but I could check with her on that.
okay.
I would still leave off the date. Because if we're gonna use the same letter for mailing and email, the mailers are probably not gonna get there by the date.
Is the food, I think I saw something just recently regarding the food truck event. Oh. Right here. That on, but I thought I saw something on the website. Is it possible to add the town website? Is it possible to add a note on the town website as it pertains to the food truck event or whatever is on the website itself, inviting people to attend, that the board would be present to discuss those topics, to instead of, in addition to welcome back, come and celebrate, could it be acknowledged that individuals from this board would be present or available to discuss with individuals? So that could,
Well, and that was not, initially what the board discussed in August. I mean, I could talk with the town manager. I don't know if there's enough time to
of course,
make a note,
but
but
we won't know until we try. And as, again, we didn't know what we didn't know in August. So as we're percolating and
I
coming
think
up with
this will be
ideas.
a great
we're-
trial for the board. You'll
Mhm.
see what kind of input. Actually, even based on the input you get from residents at the food truck event, you can possibly amend your letter to residents based on input you get. You may want to revise it and touch on things that people have talked to you about at that event. So I think this is a nice sort of trial situation and
Mhm.
and you kind of see how things play out. You have these resources, the town manager's minute, the ability to send out a letter, the ability to do an email blast. You will always have the availability to do those things. So, just.
Okay, so again, let's synthesize everything that was put out there at this point in time. What are we agreeing on as we move forward? We agreed to the letter. We agreed we wanted it in print and email.
Yes.
We are hopeful that it can be also presented in the manager's minutes starting in November, just in December. November. We're hoping that during this time, we will learn how to appropriately address the library to see when we can identify a date that maybe by the December manager's minutes, we could update that to include that event. But at this time, we're all good with the letter as it's written with the suggested edits and updates.
I have a few wording edits.
Please, please.
Given the interpretation of the statement of climate change and how some people perceive whether
I
it's
see.
real or not, I think we should change that to beach erosion.
Great point.
I concur. I circled that on mine because for me, I agree with that, but that can be a value statement that could not resonate with
Yeah.
everybody.
A very good point. Yeah.
Okay, so how would you like to rephrase it? What would it?
I would just replace the word climate change with beach erosion.
Real threat of beach erosion. I like that.
The other, as far as the second paragraph, opening a letter in the mail or an email, reading 2 paragraphs is tough for a lot of people. So possibly changing paragraph 2 to bullet points, highlighting the benefits of why you should be doing this.
Mhm.
So just, we can rewrite this or we can keep it as is, but benefits are, protecting your property value, the sea turtles, protecting our shorelines. Just a thought.
I have a thought. What about if we put a picture of an actual resident's home? Not with the address or anything, but with a picture of the dune that's totally eroded and say, does your backyard look like this? Or does your sand dune look like this? We can help you.
I try to avoid scare tactics.
Yeah, that's a little bit of public
But
shaming, I think.
for sure, I would love to do something like that, but I definitely don't want to use somebody's backyard property.
Because, part of my concern is that I don't know that all these homeowners are even aware what their sand dune looks like. Some of them don't live in these homes. They're empty for a majority of the year.
But again, I would be cautious of if I were opening up the mail and that's a picture and I could recognize that's my backyard and feeling targeted.
Okay, so
So,
we
but that
don't
could be-
have it, we
that
take a
could be
dune
something-
from somebody who doesn't live in Highland Beach, but
and
so
that could be
nobody
some-
can say that's my backyard.
Yeah. But that could be something that we utilize at the food truck event
Okay.
and the actual larger event. But again, I just even think of the printing once we start adding pictures and if it's in black and white, is it going to be? Or what's the
I mean, adding the
Photo gonna-
picture, I think also has the danger that the resident thinks, oh no, my backyard is fine. My pool isn't falling apart yet, so I'm good. It could give actually the wrong message because all of these backyards are not perfect right now. So I think they all can do work. I just worry that it gives the wrong message, like, oh, I have a couple of sea oats and a couple of sea grapes, so I'm fine. No, you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, this is step one. It's not the end all, but it's step one to creating awareness. But I agree with the idea of bullets. Because sometimes, we're reading quickly. We just want the information, good or bad. In this day and age, we want the information as quickly and succinctly as possible as to what do you need from me? What do you want? What will I gain from this? So if we could step back from a very well-written letter, it's very well written, very well composed, but just pull that out into the main ideas that we want them to walk away with.
So are you suggesting that the next document with the highlighted bullet points is kind of implemented in the second paragraph, like bullet points, what they're supposed to do, or what was your
No.
thought?
My thought was highlighting why you should be paying attention to this. So you wrote it in the paragraph. It's just changing the paragraph to
Got it.
bullets.
Yeah, okay.
So
That's
could you,
great.
what would you provide a model for us? Like take one sentence as it's presently written and then model what the edit or update would look like.
Well, I think to Ms. Ingrid or Ms. Allen's comment about contacting FDEP first, should be maybe a sentence added to the first paragraph. And then, we could write benefits to protecting our shoreline, colon, and then bullets are the number one benefit, because you have to appeal to the homeowners. Why should I be doing this? And it's protecting your property value. It can be as simple as that. The next is, saving the sea turtle population, protecting our shorelines from erosion due to rising sea levels, hurricanes and storms. So I'm just taking what you wrote and turning them into bullet points. And adding sea turtles.
Do you want to make a draft of the second paragraph so that otherwise I'm just thinking
Sure,
of
I'm happy
being
to.
efficient.
Yeah, we could do it if we had a computer or right then and there, but this is something I can do this afternoon, but then what's the procedure for disseminating it to everyone?
Second
And
topic. Yeah, so what you will do is you'll send the draft to me, and then I'll send it to the board. And then you all will have the opportunity to make comments on the draft, but you'll have to send back any comments to me. Yeah, it's a little bit of a
So that could
roundabout way.
complicate matters.
yeah, so or we can leave it as is. I just,
Or shall we just phrase it right now and you, Ms. Allen, take some notes and then it's done?
is it something that
a
you?
draft, then.
Is it something that you have that we can put to her computer, like through email, like during the meeting right now?
Yeah,
I
we
don't
could
think-
make changes to it right now and email it in.
Sure, you could talk about the changes you want to make right now. That's,
Well, I'm saying, do you have the draft on your computer through the meeting minutes?
I'm going to try to get Wi-Fi. I always have an issue connecting to the Wi-Fi in this building.
I have a hotspot if you need.
Action needed. It always tells me that an action is needed. It never connects on my computer. I don't know why.
The file is actually a PDF file.
Highland Beach guest Wi-Fi, action needed, no internet. It never connects. Okay,
And the file is a PDF, so I have it on my computer. I could send you my Word file so that you have it for amendments.
because I'd be happy to type as we go. But while we're waiting for that, when you say attached are the guidelines for beach dune management, Florida Department, where is that handout? Attached are the guidelines. So
So do we want to do like a QR code or a link? Since we're emailing this, we can do a link.
Yeah.
So again, apologies, but so all of this whole packet was the guidelines, or can you point out directly for all of us to understand what you're saying is include? Because if it's all of this, that's a lot. Just that one.
Maybe just.
Just the
page.
one,
Yeah, just
just the one that, okay, Andy was gonna get us physical copies of as well. So that, again, since somebody's willing to pay, I'm gonna be picking them up. He knows we wanted them for the food truck event. Do we want to just let Palm Beach County take care of the printing for that? I mean, they're being printed as we speak. So should we include this in the letter or hold off for the next go round, or just putting it out there? Share the cost with Palm Beach.
How many residents? Is it about 1,000 probably on the beach with the condos?
I think it's more than 1,000.
More than 1,000. That's a lot of printing. And
the
these
thing is
brochures still
when we,
exist,
when we
but
do a
it's-
list, initially the list is pulled from, we use a property appraiser. It's going to pull every resident in the condo. So then we'll have to go through that list and, just focus on whether it's the HOA president or the building manager. So you're going to get a list and we'll have to go through it. So
I think we just, when we're doing the mailer, it should just be the letter and that's it.
I think so.
And then save the printing things
Yeah,
for the
County
event.
or, and as
Yep.
Ingrid alluded to, we could, again, within the letter, it might be better to say, please refer to our website, Natural Resource Preservation.
I
for-
agree with that.
For additional resources, and that can be, this week, this can be uploaded there immediately,
Yeah,
instead of more paper in there.
yes, I totally agree.
Okay, so now I'm going to try and find these. Would her letter be included in our documents that we're sending out?
It is online sometimes.
I
But
believe
it's
it's
a
a
PDF.
PDF. So I
It's a
don't know that
PDF,
you'll be
so
able
you
to.
won't be able to make changes.
You
Well,
can highlight it, copy it and paste it into a Word document. I'm happy to.
I'm
do
just
it.
trying to find the link again where I can get on and find everything. Okay, but while I play here, we want to move on, or is there anything we need to do? while
Just
we're
another
for
quick
this?
note, Ms. Cuevas just advised me that they could go ahead and amend any type of future food truck event for October. Any email blasts, they could go ahead and add a note that the Natural Resources Board will have a table with information on dune management and resources, something to that effect.
Good afternoon, board members.
While you're doing that, do we want to look at some of the other attachments or discussions?
Agenda packet.
Shall we keep looking at the attachment 3, which is the one-pager coastal dune management? While
Sure. Where is this supposed to be disseminated or?
So attachment 3, my thinking was that we could use this at the food truck event or any other events, which is literally a super high level. Like if you have an elevator pitch, you have 30 seconds to explain to somebody what the person should be doing. On that kind of high level, a list of to-dos and not to-dos. So remove all invasive exotic plants. Of course, this needs a permit. Add the appropriate native species. Develop a fore-dune with, as a first line of defense, with seagrass, and then a second line of defense, which is more shrubs like sea grape. Number 5 refers to the fact that people need a permit by the FDEP. Number 6 is literally just a reminder, if you rake your beach, which is being done currently anyway, mixing the seaweed, because that's actually explaining to residents, a lot of them complain why they don't remove the seaweed. It's actually important, a component of the ecosystem. So that's in there so people realize seaweed is good. Sprinklers, we could actually leave. I don't know, a lot of people have sprinklers. It's not great if it oversprays into the dunes. Obviously, do not walk in dunes. This is pretty obvious, so we could maybe remove this point. And then the last point is Robert Barron. He was really the expert for Delray Beach, and then I think you've been talking to him as well, right? So Robert Barron as an expert for the presentation. Because there is a presentation on our web. Actually, it's not on the
I think
website.
that was member Chapelier, Maggie had mentioned that.
Yeah, so she did this amazing presentation, which I think was based on Robert Barron's work.
And it's on the website. Mhm.
So maybe this is something to ask her about, to what extent we want to be working with him on the content and so forth.
So I think this is great for us as far as talking points, but I would be very cautious as to this being a handout or anything as far as providing steps on how to go about doing anyone's personal property. I would leave that to, after the permits, they have somebody come out, take a look, professional, like they're gonna be the ones to come up with a game plan to restoring that specific property's sea dunes. So I don't think this is like kind of like a do-it-yourself guide.
Yes.
So I think we should kind of stay away from that.
I was having the same thoughts when I was typing the list, like me being a lawyer, not a landscaper, not a dune expert, typing like how to do it. It sounds a little bit like do it yourself. So I have exactly that thought. And yeah, so I agree. I think it's great talking points. So would we as a team agree that we use this just for our own background, but we're not gonna obviously refer to it and not gonna use it? And we just use this, which is an excellent overview by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
Yes, since we know that the county is already distributing that, so it's been vetted, almost sure, by appropriate resources. Okay, apologies, but when I go to the link, okay, here we are. But I don't see. Here it is, organized food truck. I found it, so we are here.
If I can just add to this last conversation, this handout that I gave you, the coastal construction control line due maintenance guidelines. At the bottom of page 1, it talks about, just some great bullet points. Might want to incorporate that into this handout. Talks about build productive dunes by trapping and stabilizing wind-blown beach sand, reduce erosion losses by wind and storms, provide shelter. I mean, it does give you a lot of information.
These would be good bullet points.
Also with just referencing removal of invasive. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize when you remove an invasive, you have to usually that's done by hand because you don't want to impact the natural vegetation when, stepping all over, trying to remove something that's invasive. So a lot of times that's done by hands. And so, yeah, I think the board's on the right path. We have to be very careful in the information, but yeah, this may be a helpful handout to kind of supplement it, whether you hand it out or not, but just as you said, for your own information.
Okay, so I should be able to edit at this point. Yeah, I can edit. Okay. So with that, do we want to, I'm looking at our time. It is 10:15. Do we want to spend this time then finalizing the letter since this is going to be distribution? We still have other items to address as it pertains to the event, even though we don't know the date of the event. We want to have a discussion too about what the event would entail. So you feel good about moving forward or with me typing while you.
Well, my suggestion would be, why don't we put it at the very end of the agenda? So if we still have time, we can work on the letter, and if not, we can do it after the meeting.
Does that work?
Sure.
Instead of spending time.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if we're gonna
It's
be at the
here.
event
When
in
we're ready, it's
2
here. I can do
weeks,
it.
we should probably figure out all the other stuff.
Okay, so again, I always like to synthesize, make sure we're on the same page. Are we in agreement with what's in the letter, what's not in the letter, what we're putting on the website, manager's minutes? We all feel good about that piece. Okay, and so now moving on to the actual October 27th event. Okay,
So that's attachment 4 on page 16. The first action item would be advertising by Highland Beach. I think we pretty much covered that. It's going to be a reference to the email on the website.
and we. made
Any
the-
other ideas on how the
Yeah, we
town's
made
gonna-
the request to see whether or not it could be identified on the website that's already advertising the event. Can we be noted in some shape or form that we would be present for discussion?
Yeah.
That was already noted. Okay,
So then the second point would be now it goes really into the details. We need obviously tables. I don't know what we want to do. If we want to have like 2 tables where we can put our leaflets on and have our goodies and like a little stand.
That's fine, just.
So does the town have like, say, 2 large folding tables, or shall we? I can bring them, we just need a truck. But I can bring
Ms.
them.
Cuevas has done the food truck events in the past, so she'll give you an update as to how it's set up and so on.
Perfect.
For the record, Teresa Cuevas, Town Manager's Office. So typically, we set up a tent. You can have tables, how many chairs you need. If you need 2 large rectangular tables, we can have that set up. You can bring whatever, I think I heard some magnets or maybe some kind of giveaways that you're gonna have and set that up on the table. The tent will be there. If you need, I don't know if you'll have display boards or anything like that, but we can pretty much accommodate whatever you need for the event.
Okay. The 2 large rectangular tables.
I think that would be great. 2 large rectangular tables. Display boards, I think that would be ideal if we had like large boards where we could print this larger and maybe attach it to the board. Are these like these V-shaped boards, or how do they look like?
We can get like some easels and put them up there. We've done that in the past. We can have some kind of display there, or we can print them out and put them in the front of the table. We can make it work. However you want to do it.
Yeah,
We just need to decide what we want to put on them.
Exactly,
Let's
yeah.
make a decision as to what we need on there, and then we can defer to in what form.
How about this?
And again, those I'm gonna be picking up from Palm Beach County, so we will have.
Maybe, if we had this enlarged and this could be on a, you know, like a poster size.
I think it's a little heavy for a poster. There's a lot of information on there. I don't know, other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if we're already handing them out, we don't need to blow it up and put it on an easel.
Could do a picture of a bad dune.
I personally loved the presentation that was prepared. Margarita's her name. Sorry, I'm still not familiar with all the
Maggie?
Maggie. I loved that presentation, and some pictures were really good. Maybe we can do a couple of bullet points with some parts of that presentation, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Is it possible to have electricity if I were to bring my laptop and a
Yes, we have power. in the-
monitor?
We
I
have
know the
power
word
in the
monitor.
parking lot. You'd want to have a display of like a TV display, or
If you had, or if I have a monitor, I have my own monitor I could bring. It's not like,
I mean, we can
could run
accom-
the PowerPoint on.
I could
repeat.
loop it, like I could have it looped through my,
Yes.
I could easily set
Yeah.
that up.
we have electrical capabilities outside. So on the table, just come a little bit early, get your laptop and the monitor set up. And I think that would be a nice little touch.
Yeah,
That
I
would
can
be
do that.
great. How large is your monitor?
Bigger than that.
So it would just stand on
I'm
the
like,
table.
can you see how technical I'm, like one this size? I know you measure it this way, but it's about this big. I mean, it's appropriate for a table,
Right,
If we needed anything bigger, it would have to be something from
and we
technology.
could just loop it through as Joshua recommended, like, and it would just be there, but also maybe we bring a second laptop if somebody wants to discuss it. We can go through, I can bring my laptop, for example, with the presentation on it and go through specific pages if one person interacts with us.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
But again, to have the one that Maggie did looping. Okay, so definitely I will bring my laptop and a monitor. As it pertains to the other documents that we put together, the sea grape trimming. CCL Dune plant maintenance guidelines. And Palm Beach County will provide the brochure.
I think we talked earlier, we're just gonna have like a QR code at the table.
Yeah.
That's gonna link to everything instead of
I
handing out.
agree. So
is that something, Joshua, you could do, the QR code, or?
We can handle that in-house. We historically have not done QR codes. Well, we did it on one mailing and it wasn't really receptive to the population. But we can definitely include
Yeah.
one somewhere.
I would just say like, put it on the table, and whoever's at the table can show people how to do it
Sure.
on their.
And some
Absolutely.
people are very comfortable with them,
Yeah.
more so after the pandemic, and we all had to order food that way. But
Right.
some are still like, don't want to go there. But even if we, like I said, if Ms. Allen could send me, you said they're lengthy websites, I'm happy to go to my Bitly account and convert them into smaller URLs that I can send it. Does
Well,
that need to be approved but I'm happy to convert them into small custom URLs. And then I can put it all on a page to send it off for printing and to be cut down, like there could be 8 per sheet or something like that as a handout.
I think Town Planner Allen had a good suggestion, pushing the traffic to your website rather than having those multiple links. We can put all of those links on your website and then
Okay.
have the QR code link right to the Natural Resource Board website so that we're directing the traffic to the
So-
same place.
Okay, so QR code and the actual website link for us.
Yes,
both.
and we can change, I think right now your URL is highlandbeach.us/natural resource preservation. It may be a little lengthy. We can change it. We can make it smaller so that it's easier to digest to the public.
Yeah. I agree. That is actually a better idea.
So we can
So
definitely
what-
do that.
again, why have them all over the place when we can just,
Funnel them right to one spot where all the information is at.
so that could, all those links that we pulled all these resources from can be on our Natural Resource Preservation Advisory Board, because that's already where the presentations live and everything prior as well.
And then we can have the QR code on the table that will link them directly to your website.
Mhm.
And then they have that for the future as well. So when you're taking on different initiatives and projects, it's all right there.
We just have
Can
to.
we just motion to change our link to, /NRPAB?
Sure. If that's what the board would like, absolutely.
What was the last part?
It's just an acronym for Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board.
Oh, I see that. Okay.
Yeah. Does it have to be a formal motion, or we can just make that as a request?
I mean, I don't know, Ingrid, if you want to make it a recommendation or how, it's pretty easy to change on our
I think
end,
it's a
so.
pretty straightforward thing.
Okay.
If you want to make a motion, I think that's fine.
Okay. Is someone second?
I'll
I-
second.
Sorry, can you repeat the motion for the record, please?
Motion to change Natural Resources Board website link to the town link /NRPAB, which is an acronym for National Resources Preservation Advisory Board.
Thank you.
It's how we are always referred to anyway. Okay, so the rest of the list, triangle signs, banners.
Just one last
Sure.
piece for the link. The current website, from my memory, also links to non-Dune topics. So I think we have to make sure that we list all the Dune related topics in that link, because otherwise it's too much information.
Sure, so I can go through and start really, I guess, decentralizing your page. To date, it's kind of just been a dump of information. But based on this conversation, we can start breaking it down into different sections, dune management in one area, sea turtles in another area. So I can definitely work on cleaning up your
The
page to make it a
recycling,
little bit
Yeah, the
easier.
recycling piece.
Yes.
That would be
Let's do
great.
'em.
Is
That would
that
be-
something that you need to work with one of us on, or? So I'm happy to go back and forth with you if you want to make edits or.
I would suggest, Teresa, if you want to organize it and then the board at your next meeting, you could,
Sure.
in the next few weeks, you could look at it. And if you have any suggestions, then you could talk amongst the board members and see what your thoughts are on how Teresa's organized, and then we could revise it accordingly.
Do we want to take a snapshot, look at it now? Can we pull it?
I
up?
was gonna say at the next meeting, we can, well, sure. I can grab my laptop if you bear with me one moment. I can grab my laptop and set it up right here.
I mean, it's
not-
a
it's
little
not
lower
accessible on
priority, so
Janelle.
do we want to
I'm-
continue on?
I was gonna say for the next meeting,
Okay.
if you'd like, I can make some changes. I'll make some changes
Okay,
and then the next meeting we'll bring it back and we'll be more prepared and then we can show it on the screen. We can make the changes as we're
Definitely.
here and work through it together.
definitely something in place by the October 27th, somewhat cleaned up.
Yes,
That
I
it
can
can
have
be
that cleaned
directed.
up and have the dune management information kind of at the top of the page, since that's what we're focusing on.
Okay.
And then your next meeting, I think, is November 2nd. Then we can go through and actually clean up more of the
Fine-tune.
website.
Perfect. So an interim to ensure that if we're handing out QR codes or directing them there,
That's the top priority for this.
it's clear and clean and they know where they're going instead of getting into a rabbit hole of where's the
Yes.
information. Then I
Yes,
think we're good. Everybody feel good about that?
Yes,
one?
definitely.
Thank you so much.
sure, absolutely.
Appreciate that work. Okay, can we continue down the list then on attachment 4?
Yes.
We got the tables and chairs, we added a laptop and monitor. Definitely gonna have these as hard copy handouts because the county's as a printed material, large triangle signs, banners, did you want to clarify what you were referring to or what was necessary or
I think that you replace that with the monitors.
I just wanted to make sure. So, okay, that's the monitor instead. My laptop.
So then item number 5 would be who is actually staffing the table? Who's actually being present?
I will be there.
I am going to be out of town.
I will be there too. I have plans. I need to move things around, but I can.
I mean, maybe I
I am tentatively out of town.
yeah, I don't know if I can
But
change mine.
so I'm not sure at the moment.
I never go anywhere. It's the one time that I need to be here and I'm gonna be out of town.
Okay, so we have other members who are not present. Is there a way to reach out to them to see if somebody can be present, Ms. Allen? In addition to
Sure,
myself?
I'll send an email to all the board members asking whether they'll be participating in the food truck event. And then I'll send you a reply email as to who will be
Okay,
attending.
okay, so from at this point, I'm gonna say here that I will be, but we'll wait to the email, the communication email comes out from Ms. Allen, so we have a definitive. Okay,
But the 2 of us will be there and then hopefully more members.
okay.
Or I'm thinking maybe, Janelle, you could do almost like a canvassing, if that's possible. That may be a more straightforward way just to see which board members will be in attendance. Will that work? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then the next few points is really, I don't know whether we have children there, or what's usually the typical audience, or is it like elderly snowbirds, or what's the typical audience of this event before we dive deeper into?
It's typically not many children.
mhm,
Not, okay.
mhm.
I usually bring mine, and there's, maybe a handful of other families, but not
Not
typically
many.
a children's event.
So I was thinking of, I mean, these are expensive versions, but I can source maybe some cheaper versions. These are like nice bracelets with sea turtles. That people like that. I can even look at them.
What's the cost, the least expensive?
These were $18 a piece, but they are, yeah, they're not what I was envisaging. I need to do some research on that. But I'm hoping to spend $1 to $3 on a piece
For what outcome?
for people to wear them, go home with
But to
them.
what outcome? So we spend the money, we invest the money in them, kids like them, but it changes their mindset, it empowers them or to do what? I get that, it's cute, but I would argue the investment in the money to what end?
So maybe this is an idea that's not feasible in the amount of time, but is it possible to get somebody from Gumbo Limbo with an actual like baby sea turtles to come out?
And my mind was jumping to the bigger event, or if, we do the one in January, I can really start growing into having a section for kids while adults are in doing a more adult session for learning and something going on with children where they can make their own bracelets with the beads while instruction's going on and it's impactful and learning. But yeah, I can think very.
I think
big on
here
but
the
for
best
right
thing
here.
would be like a refrigerator magnet or something that they have that's like kind of constantly reminding them to fix their
That's a
dunes.
Great point.
I don't know what that is, but we can talk.
Or even a sticker.
I think these are
But
great
is the
ideas.
turnarounds.
This is a sea turtle topic. It's actually not dune erosion. It's linked, but it's not the same. I agree. And it's overcomplicating matters. So a magnet, shall I do some research on, obviously I have to order something that's already existing.
I would push for this just from my own experience with people these days, the majority of people aren't sticking the magnets in places anymore. But stickers are very popular on the top of your laptop, on your water bottles. My 20-something, she can't collect enough of them on the water bottles.
See, I
the
totally disagree
car.
with you. A sticker goes in the trash. I'm not putting stickers, a magnet on my, on my car that can be taken off,
Okay, those kind of
but,
thin ones, yeah.
not yet.
So
Of a
magnets
turtle,
or
even if it
stickers?
just said save the turtle or, save
Would
the
save the
dunes.
Dune, yeah.
Save the
Just
Dune
about dunes,
stickers,
just
yeah.
about Dunes.
So shall I just try to find whatever I can find, stickers
Stickers
and
are,
magnets?
it'd be interesting to see the price point, but again, what is the turnaround time on this and what is the budget? Where is that money coming from?
As I said, I discussed this with the town manager. I mean, based on the draft that provided here, you mentioned, you referenced $1 a piece. I mentioned that to him. He's fine with that. So if you come up with something that's a little bit more, then just email me and I'll, again, just reach out to him
Okay.
and see.
I mean, what I can do is I can just order this Amazon.
But something like that.
Yes.
With the Highland Beach logo. Sure.
No,
And it can
I
have
don't know.
our new website on it.
I need to show this to the camera.
Or maybe
Can you
could describe
explain?
it?
Can you
Yeah.
explain?
Yeah, so this, it's a sticker with the American flag. It says Save Our Dunes. It has logos on it, potentially the town's logo. That's pretty much it. Cost and time, they're 3 by 5, inches. So enough to be visible.
and that was just a site you found that,
Right.
so there'd be more, but that's one
My,
example.
I have a neighbor that works in the printing business that he could probably print them.
If I may interject, please be mindful that the town is mindful itself about marketing materials. If you remember when we did the beach bucketry, some of you were not on the board, but we got a specific, logo, the pictogram that was all approved by the town commission. They wanted a specific, logo, a specific look with specific
Yeah.
colors.
Mm.
So I
represents
think
the
for you
town.
all just to kind of jump on something and come up with a sticker without going through the proper vetting, I
Right.
believe you need to be a little bit more mindful.
Mhm.
If you want to provide again a draft, you can email it to me. I'll be happy to take it to the town manager. This may be something maybe for future events that you're planning. Again, right, you're all aware we're on a very limited time frame, but that may be something you want to include in your overall plan for your educational outreach
Mhm.
to residents. You might want to, again, put it on the plan, put it on the outline as something you might want to look forward, move forward with at a later date. But by all means, feel free to send me a draft and.
So along the same lines, if we were to just find a pre-made, like Save the Beaches or Save the Dunes sticker, does that ultimately have to get pre-approval to disseminate?
I like to, anything that the board is proposing to send out to residents, I like to first provide it to the town manager. If he feels it should follow the same path as like the bucket trees where there's, the town logo, as I said, with specific colors, everything matches what's on the town website. If he wants to stick to that, which kind of makes sense,
Mhm.
Sure.
agree.
then yeah, we would have to, he's our first, person that we reach out to and then kind of go from there, whether it goes to the town commission or not. That will be something I will discuss with him. Yeah.
So given that procedural timeline, do we want to think of something else as a handout that's a little quicker and readily available for the October event?
Is it necessary is what I would say at this point, since this is just the tip of the iceberg, first step in awareness, and we are going to continue to promote through the manager's minutes, through letters. I think some of these items might be better served at the larger event that we are talking about. And I'm looking at time. I do apologize. I have to leave. I had an accident this week and I have an emergency doctor appointment at 11:30. So I'd love to have a discussion too about the event and what the process is, since I already reached out to the library, was told I couldn't talk to the library. I really want to learn how I talk to the library.
Yeah, I mean, I
Try to
agree
be
with
facetious.
I think, if anything, we're gonna have the vases with the dune plants, if that's possible to have at the table. That
Mhm.
is gonna be more impactful, I think, than
Yeah.
handing out tchotchkes.
Yeah, and we don't know how many people are, who we're aiming to target here are actually going to be at this event anyway. So it'd be better at an event that's more, addressing just this, then we can have more to
Mhm.
hand out.
And we have more time to put
Yeah.
thought and time and
Okay.
effort into the outcome, the purpose and
That
why.
sounds great.
But,
So
was
I
gonna-
can bring
oh.
vases with dune plants. I can do, I mean,
okay,
if anybody can, whoever comes brings a vase, I'll bring some dune plants.
I
can
have-
literally take
I have
them.
bases I can bring.
That would be great. Everybody brings vases. I'm sure you have water. Well, I'll bring the dune plants.
Okay.
Um,
And you'll obtain those in a way that's permitted by, like, where are we getting those Dune?
no, they'll be smaller. Oh, no, they're just from my own backyard. I'll
Okay.
just take.
Does the town have any leftover swag that we can utilize?
I think the last thing we had were masks and those are kind of no longer being utilized at the moment. Do we have, Janelle, any of the bags?
We have like some stragglers, few bags here and there, but not enough to.
To give out?
Okay, just asking.
I think we're good.
I was going to say will also be a great opportunity again to engage the residents that do come to the food truck and ask them, what would you like to have? What would you like to see? Again, for future events, it might be a good way, as I said, almost like a pilot program to see what people would like to have in the future or receive from the board at future events.
Do we want to have like a suggestion box?
I was
or-
thinking the same thing.
Or like a, comments or
Comment card.
questions, submit your
Yes.
questions.
I think that's a good idea.
Or is that something, again, that can be a QR code to a whatever the town utilizes for a Google form to quickly fill out instead of it having to be a collection of paper?
Be mindful that the town website already has an opportunity for residents to provide comments. If you do a comment card box, and you may get comments that are not really specific to the purview of the board. You may get comments that are outside your purview, so.
I assume
But-
you'll have to review all the comments
Yeah.
before we.
But again, if somebody does ask you a or make a comment to you, you could let them know that on the town's website, we have the opportunity to comment. I'm going to pull up the website right now and give you the actual wording verbatim.
Could it be even just whether it's on a clipboard, big enough for people to put down their name, email that they choose to, and a comment box, like I could put together a very simple, a Word doc table, name, phone number, email, I'm interested to learn more, I'm interested in future, and then a comment, so that it's their choice to fill out on one sheet instead of all these little
Yeah.
cards.
We can do both the web and the paper, because some people might just want to write it down while they're there.
Can you clarify?
There's the suggestion box, so some people might just want to write it down and get it done, and some want to do it at home by phone or computer.
So, no, I was just suggesting I could have a one page that I create a Word doc table, name, I'm interested to learn more, check yes, no.
Oh, I see, got it. Okay, sorry.
Email, and again, they can choose whether they want to share their email or phone number, and then at the end is a box big enough for them to write in a comment or
That would
further
be
suggestions
great.
for the board, something. All on one page instead of lots of little pieces of paper in a suggestion box.
You may want to make that specific to dune management.
Mhm.
Questions that they may have that staff can possibly get back to them on answering those questions. I was going to say that the format that the town uses for people to make comments is called Tell the Town. So when you go on the town's website, you'll see an icon that says Tell the Town, and the applicant types their name, their email address, their message, and they could send directly through this webpage their comment. So you might want to keep that in your minds for those of you that are going to be at the food truck event. If anyone says, well, I have a comment that may not be specific to dune management, but you can let them know we have the Tell the Town
Okay.
option on a town website for comments. And yeah.
And then the last thought was just for decoration, I could order some blue tablecloths and I could bring some buckets of sand. So we can actually decorate the table with a blue tablecloth and then just put a little bit of sand here and there. And then add the dune plants, which would simply be sea
So
grapes.
just like talking about the plasticky kind of tablecloths or
Yeah, it will be a,
dollar store.
yeah, like,
The
Stuff
town may
stored.
already have tablecloths.
In our order, we already have tablecloths. They're black tablecloths. I don't know if you're stuck on blue,
We
but
may
the
have-
theme for the event is black and we're doing kind of a little orange and purple for Halloween, fall kind of. So we can definitely give you a tablecloth that we have.
I was thinking of actually creating a dune. So having a blue tablecloth and then put some sand and then some of the plants. So it really is a
I would
dune.
probably I wouldn't put sand directly on the table. I would, if you're gonna do something like that, put it in like a big Tupperware or
Aquarium or,
just because if it's windy, the sand's. gonna go
Oh, right. Very
everywhere.
good point. You're right. Yeah,
okay,
great point.
But we can
Or-
definitely include tablecloths on your tables.
okay.
And then you can do whatever you'd like
Okay.
to on top of it.
Sounds great.
Okay, so where are we at in feeling that we're prepared for the 27th food truck event? That
I think
I,
we're covered.
okay,
So
I
the last
would-
piece is the letter, right?
the letter. And before that, though, I really would like to know what the process is for moving forward for identifying a date for this big event we keep referring to that we would like to hold at the library. That I reached out to the library and was brought back to, no, there's a process that needs to be brought to the town manager, I believe.
Right. Well, I think you want to prepare some sort of outline. Again, I think that all of you are on the same page as to what this event is going to be, what is it going to entail, who's going to be involved, what guest speakers. I think you need to have some sort of, again, plan or outline.
A
And
proposal.
yeah, and then something I could bring to the town manager and say, okay, we need to know the nuances and, the meat and potatoes of what you want to do.
Okay,
Then I think from there, if the town manager is on board, then we could go ahead and reach out to the library to get some dates, but we really need to know what exactly you're wanting to tackle.
And we need to get the speaker first because
When is our next board meeting?
November.
November 2nd.
so
So do we want to
that
come
I,
up with an outline the next meeting or somebody
so
draft it?
I'm wondering, I'd be happier to come up with the proposal to bring that we could review during that time.
As much detail as you can provide, I'm sure will be
Mhm.
much appreciated.
Again, similar to what we're doing here, we could review it because we'll present it in the appropriate time to be part of the agenda packet. And from there, I'm assuming we could have a quick turnaround on review and approval since we're already then in November and we're talking January, February. Hopefully that the library will have availability, but does that sound feasible?
I think it sounds feasible. Right, there's other events at the library during season.
Exactly.
Actually, we're planning some meetings and so trying to find some available dates that weren't necessarily so easy. There's different movie events and, different.
Exactly. That's why
so,
we were
yeah,
trying to get on it back
yeah.
in August. And
But I think,
We could
Could be-
I just don't
piggyback.
know what, because it was part of our minutes and everything that I was going to reach out and I was confused as to why, since it was even documented in the minutes, it wasn't brought up at that time that was not the appropriate action that I should be taken, because now I feel like we lost so much time. So I do feel an urgency to get on this as soon as possible. If the library is not available, are there any other venues that could be utilized or rooms or places that the event could take place if the library is not available, as you're alluding to might be possible?
well, typically town events are usually held here at town hall. I don't know of any other venues at the moment, typically the
In this-
library is used
Mhm.
for the type of event that you're
Okay.
touching upon, so.
So we're just
But
gonna keep our fingers
again,
crossed.
I'm sure we can make a date work. It's just, I want you all to be mindful that during the season there are,
Exactly.
different things going on.
All right, so we're
We
gonna
could,
keep
you
our
know,
fingers
depending
crossed,
on the-
positive presuppositions. I'll develop the proposal and we're gonna hope for a quick turnaround so that this is actually gonna come to fruition.
Depending on the event that the town already has scheduled, we might be able to piggyback also. So if there's a a date, they're showing a movie, we could do something before the movie or maybe.
That would
Mhm.
work if the timing works.
Okay, look for solutions, not problems, right? Okay, need to develop a proposal for the next meeting. It's for me. For review by town manager. Okay, so I feel like at least we got that one out of the way as to how to process that moving forward. So with the last 10 minutes, back to the letter.
Before we go to the letter, the
Yes.
attachment 5, the list of resources, do we all agree that these are the list of resources that we will use? And then you add the ones that Town Planner Alan has added today. Some of them are already on this list, some of them are new.
Do these have to be approved by the town to put on our website? It's okay.
Sorry, I was having a different discussion. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So we have a list of resources for dunes management
Attachment 5.
to hopefully put on our site on the towns.
Right.
Do you need to approve those sites before the links are put
The
on the town?
sources, resources, no. I mean, if they're a legitimate resource, FDP, Palm Beach County,
Okay, then can we request the town to add those when you redo the website, please?
yeah, that'll be no problem. I'll let Ms. Cuevas know those links. I mean, I could do it after the meeting. That's an easy peasy thing. These handouts that I provided you, I have the links for all of these. But just wanted to mention these handouts once again. Do you want any of these for the food truck event? Or just this one here? Just this one?
Just this one, yeah.
Ms. Cuevas just advised me that, and I think I mentioned this in the email that I sent to the board after the August meeting, is that we're going to be having construction for the new fire station. So future, January. So we'll be preparing the town hall for future construction. So there'll be limited parking. I think in that initial email that I sent after the August meeting, I made reference to the fact that this food truck event in October will probably be the last one for a while until after the fire station is completed, because parking lot will be utilized for construction materials or whatever for construction related activity. Ms. Cuevas also mentioned, in addition to the library, we could possibly have some sort of meeting here in the chambers. So that's another option.
Okay.
Just putting that out there.
Okay, thank you. Okay. On to the letter. We good? All right, so I have it up here on my laptop and ready to receive your information for edits. So I think we said we were going to remove attached to our guidelines for beach and dune management by Florida. We were not going to include that as an attachment at this time.
Well, so first we're gonna
Does-
change
Gotta
climate
get the climate
change
change.
Okay.
to
back
beach
up.
erosion.
Okay, given the real threat of climate change is being changed to given the real threat of beach erosion, correct?
Correct.
Okay, let me get in there. Many residents are looking for information about how to properly maintain their dunes and how to find professional guidance. Okay, and was that also where we wanted to,
I would
as per the,
add like another sentence, first steps would be, if you're ready to take action, the first step would to be reach out to DEP or.
give me the.
Is that the first step if somebody is ready to?
Or can we just, without it becoming too lengthy of a sentence, given the threat of beach erosion, residents are looking for information about how to properly maintain their dunes and how to find professional guidance as per FDEP regulations, or like,
I think
Just-
it might be Coastal Construction Control Line, CCCL. Or the DEP, and the website's here. Because they need to know if they need a permit or not.
mhm.
A permit for Sierra of coastal mine establishment.
Maybe we add that as the last sentence, saying, in order to start, or, if you wish to immediately take action, please reach out to
Yeah, we can list both
yeah.
and with the phone number.
At the end of the letter. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then let's move into paragraph 2. Again, we can jump back and forth, but paragraph 2 is the area where we wanted to make the most changes and
Right.
converting it to bullets.
I mean, we
And-
can start with a question, say, why should you be concerned about?
Okay, but I'm
Future
going to
erosion.
remove attached or guidelines, right?
Correct, because we're not attaching.
And we also included a 1-page document that will taking
Yeah.
that out as well,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, then we're gonna start converting the as you see, it does not take much.
would put as you will see.
Well, I think we're just gonna remove that whole
Okay.
paragraph.
Okay,
I mean, don't delete it because we may
I'm just
use
gonna type
words.
above,
but,
okay.
So I'm just saying,
Why should this be an area of concern or why? should-
something along those
why-
lines, or you can write benefits to protecting and restoring your dunes. Either one of those.
Why should why should you as a Highland Beach resident be concerned about dune protection? Why
Sure,
are we allowed to say that?
you can just say resident.
Well, it could be why you should be concerned.
Well, I guess we shouldn't be saying why you should be concerned. It's
Okay,
has a negative connotation.
deleted.
What are the benefits for
Benefits for,
protecting the dunes on your property?
ensuring, well, since it's being sent to everybody and not everybody has dunes, we just say benefits for ensuring dune protection along Highland Beach.
That's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
Along Highland Beach are,
All right, so we'll do that.
Okay.
the last. And then
okay,
start
benefits for
bullets.
ensuring dune protection along Highland Beach are, and then bullets.
So, protecting property value, but if you want to elaborate on that, or you can keep it short and sweet.
Protection of property value. Again, with the time. Are we okay if I capture ideas now and take it home, clean up and then do as we said earlier, send it over? But I'm just gonna type now and then clean and it won't be pretty, but then we could send it through the proper channels for review. Okay. Okay, protection of property value, the other,
Sea life.
Yeah, sea life, and particularly sea turtle population.
sea turtle population preservation. Just, yeah, we could wordsmith later, okay?
Shoreline protection from rising sea levels, hurricanes and storms.
Shoreline protection.
Do we,
Yes, back up. to sea
With the
turtle.
sea turtles, could we add provide shelter for wildlife? So it's more generic.
Sea turtle population and shelter for other beachside wildlife or marine wildlife and shelter for
coastal wildlife?
coastal wildlife.
Do we know, has anyone ever looked up if your insurance policy is less expensive when your dunes are intact?
I don't know. That's a
Good question.
That's a good question. I don't know if they're that, having been the wife of an insurance agent, I don't know if they're that up to,
Because that would certainly be a
Environmental
great bullet.
savviness.
They may be looking at that now after Ian.
interesting.
Well, obviously we can add it, but something to research.
Okay.
Any other benefits? I feel like we need one more.
I have 3 thus far.
Well, the more vegetation you have, the more sand will remain on your dune. I don't know how you want to word that, but
That's just overall beach erosion, right? Decreasing,
yeah,
decreasing.
decreasing dune erosion.
Beach erosion.
I
right?
think another point could be a buffer against storm surges, because that's what really became with
Mhm.
Hurricane Ian. In the areas where there was a buffer, the waves went back and didn't flood
Okay,
as
so
much.
That's kind of goes in hand with what we had for number 3, shoreline protection from
Yeah.
rising
I
sea
like the
levels and
buzzword
storms.
storm surges just because
Okay,
it's on people's
shoreline,
mind.
shoreline protection from storm
People will be
surge,
aware of
Yeah.
that now.
from rising sea levels and storm surge.
So it's
Which is-
on one bullet is the erosion bullet and the other bullet is more the surge, the storm surge.
I'm sorry, could you?
So one bullet would be the erosion bullet, so reduced
I have that.
erosion.
I have
And the
that
other
too.
one would be providing a buffer against storm surges.
Sure.
Protection of your property from
Okay, I'll
potential storm surges.
I'll read what I have thus far and we can add a wordsmith as necessary right now. Just number 1 was baseline or basic protection of property value. I didn't know if you wanted to elaborate based on what you were saying. Number 2, sea turtle population and preservation and shelter for coastal wildlife. Number 3, shoreline protection from rising sea levels and storm surges. Number 4, decreasing beach erosion over time.
Yeah, I would say use what the letter said about beach erosion, like from rising sea levels, hurricanes and storms,
Beach, okay.
like the last sentence of the second paragraph.
But doesn't that kind of go in tangent with number 3 then, shoreline protection from rising sea levels and storm surges and
Oh,
hurricanes?
I missed.
Apologies for, yeah. Surges. and hurricanes.
So I would take out, I would just say shoreline protection from storm surges and then add sea levels and hurricanes to the next.
Shoreline protection from storm surges. And number 4, decreasing beach erosion.
Over time due to rising sea levels, hurricanes.
due to- Okay, so 4 bullet points.
The only other one I could think of is light pollution, but I'm not sure anyone would.
If you look at that coastal construction dew plant maintenance guidelines on that first page, there's that, those bullets and that light pollution is actually referenced
Right, yeah.
for nesting and hatchling sea turtles. So it blocks the
can-
light
Okay,
pollution.
Can add that to the sea turtle one.
maybe,
or-
maybe elaborate on the sea turtle and then have shelter for coastal wildlife as its own bullet. To
Sure.
do the elaboration. Okay, again. So then that other paragraph, as you see, it does not take much time according to FDEP, adding COs. All of that's going to be removed at this point, correct?
Correct.
Since it's succinct now in the bullets. And we're removing the statement about the October 27th.
Correct.
We were just going to replace that with,
Well,
You're
I,
not gonna get this in time.
no, but at this time, we were going to direct them to the website for additional resources. For additional resources. And we'll put the link in,
right.
once we have. Okay,
I mean, do we want a call to action? If you're ready to take action, please reach out to Triple CL or DEP. Or,
for additional resources and information on how to begin initial steps, like, cause
sure.
Yeah, and you could add these.
please, cause
Plans.
they'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay, for additional resources and guidance. On next steps. Please visit the Natural Resource Preservation Advisory Board website at. We're assuming, whatever it is going to be changed to. And sincerely, Town of Highland Beach, Natural Resource Preservation Advisory Board, since we're not representing the whole town or the
as the salutation. And I will. Okay, so recommended next steps, Miss Allen, after I get home, make this clean, I send it to you for
Okay,
review.
you'll send it to me and then I'll provide it to the town manager, see what his thoughts are. Let me just clarify, because there's been a lot of discussion back and forth about the letter. So you initially said, or the board in your discussion indicated that you wanted the letter to go to residents that were east of A1A. Is that still the case?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And then this letter is going to be print and email?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, you'll send me the draft. I'll give it to the town manager, see if he has any revisions or anything he may want to add or take out or whatever. And then I will email the board any changes or any suggestions.
Okay. And again, since I do apologize, but I have to be at this emergency doctor's meeting for the accident that I had on Tuesday. Are we comfortable moving forward then with the agenda into the announcement section and moving towards adjournment?
Yes.
Okay, so announcements, October 10th, 2022, the town hall will be closed in observance of Columbus Day. On October 11th at 1 p.m., the Code Enforcement Board will be having their regular meeting. On October 13th of 2022 at 9:30 a.m., the Planning Board will be holding their regular meeting. And October 27th of 2022 at 11:30 a.m., the Financial Advisory Board regular meeting will be taking place. Okay, so.
Chair Sanso, I just want to mention one more thing.
course.
This past Tuesday, the town commission had a commission meeting. And they wanted you on October 18th, if you want to mark your calendar, we could discuss a little bit further, but I just wanted to let the board know as well. They wanted you to come to the October 18th meeting to kind of talk about your due management, educational efforts, outreach to the residents. As I said, after the meeting, we could, talk a little bit more in detail. So a lot of what you discussed today, the commission would like to hear about on October 18th. They're meeting at 1:30.
At what time, please?
1:30 p.m.
1:30.
So is that just for the chairperson or for all of us?
They specifically asked the chair, but
Yes.
all board members, you could come to the meeting and sit in the audience if you wish. Everyone's invited to a town commission meeting.
I'm going to put it on my calendar. I do have another appointment that took months to get on my calendar, so. Is that again, something that we can communicate with the other members who are not here? I have a hard time having somebody who was not sitting here being present at that meeting to represent us. Is there anybody here who can definitively say they can be there?
Well, if you're unable to make it, then we could, possibly postpone it to the next meeting. Their next commission meeting, I think, would be November. I'm sorry, Janelle, do you have that date? No.
I mean, that would be
Yeah,
best
first
since
Tuesday
we'll
of
have
the
more
month.
information
so,
from our outreach and takeaways from
Yeah.
the event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, if you're unable to make it, we could let the commission know that you are unable to attend and that
Okay.
you'll be at the next commission meeting.
Which is on what date? So I can put that on my calendar and not fill that up.
I'm sorry, I could check the website. 1 second, I'll be able to give you that.
Thank you so much.
Can we proceed with?
If you want,
I just.
I can give you the date after the meeting. That's fine.
Really
Or I can
quickly,
email
I,
it to you.
yeah, that would need to be via email.
really
Apologies.
quickly before you adjourn, is everyone here available for the November 2nd meeting? Is everyone here going to be at that meeting? Because I did canvass
Yes.
the board at the last meeting, but I'm just, asking again.
I'm available for November
November
2.
2nd.
I'm available.
Okay, thank you.
Can we please move to?
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn.
The next meeting, according to the town's website, will be November 15th. I don't know why there's not a meeting prior to that, but according to the town website, the next commission, the election, maybe that's why. The next commission meeting would be November 15th, 1:30 p.m.